Hello guys and welcome back to another episode of The Ladder. Last time, couple spoots, a hard quick time event, and it's really getting to Ashton. As a really logical person, obviously. Being faced with the supernatural kinda leaves him lost. And now he can't deny it since he's literally been face to face with her multiple times, so it's a tough time, but gotta believe. At least we're in a universe where no one else has died. So, yeah. So last time, finished up, I think we ended after he checked up on Zachary via the phone. And even though Rebecca hasn't answered, we're there. So let's see how this goes. Maybe we'll group up, have a real strategy plan. But until then, we'll have to see. Normally, I don't let myself a moment of respite in times like this. Gotta stay alert. Rebecca's still out there, has yet to return any of my messages. But for the moment, I relish in it. This is probably the first time I've permitted myself to do so since last night. Even the muscles in my shoulders have been complaining from all the tension I've taken on. It still annoys me that all I can do right now is grit my teeth and trudge back to Isabella's apartment. Useless. That's what I am in the face of this. A mad dash around Luxembourg and Anselm isn't going to help things. It's not like I'll simply stumble across them on the side of the road during a drive. The city's too big a place for one person to go searching for only two people. I'll be lucky if I even glimpse the hair of either of them. With one last hopeful glance towards the open skies, I slip back into Isabella's apartment and close the door behind me. I might have already grown used to this, but the waiting will always be the hardest part. More so when it's the people you care about.
You're up early. I thought you left.
This is not the first time I've seen Isabella like this. Standing casually by her kitchenette, a ladle in hand, keeping an eye on whatever's stewing on the stove while humming a soft tune under her breath. 5 years ago, it has become a common sight for the three of them, including Zach and Rebecca, found a mutual interest in cooking. After that, whenever our schedule allows it, one of them will invite everyone to dinner or lunch instead of eating out. Rebecca prefers it that way, healthier she claims. Zach's just too happy to be able to cook for everyone. Isabella, on the other hand, as long as there's food, she's happy. Me? I've been banned from the kitchen ever since the pressure cooker incident. The legendary pressure cooker incident, huh? Easier times, good times. Right now, however, the scene brings an odd sense of normalcy, a strange fit with all the things going on around us. Not unwelcome, only bizarre, I suppose. Isabella doesn't follow up on her question earlier, but she does raise an eyebrow my way when I take too long to answer. For that, I only offer a casual shrug in response and a short answer.
I've checked with Zach and Rebecca. I'm just waiting to hear back from them.
I'll add in a quip or two for if the timing for a joke isn't off, or doing so won't be inappropriate. I don't want to alarm her either. There's no reason to. Yet. Until Zach gets here, or until I received an answer from Rebecca, whichever comes first. Nevertheless, it's clear she has plenty of questions. It's right there in the subtle crease between her eyebrows and inquisitive gleam in her eyes. Curious as she is, though, she decides against voicing all of her questions out. Instead, she shifts her attention back to the stove and gestures vaguely with her hand in the couch's direction.
Well, if we're going to wait for them, don't stand around there. It's getting distracting.
You're just cooking. How am I distracting?
I don't know. Something might explode again, maybe. Zach's kitchen ban for you is also in effect here, you know. Now shoo, go. Stop hovering. You'll ruin the food. I'll be done here soon.
She leaves no room for an argument by swatting the ladle at me, and just like that, I've been kicked out of the kitchen. Surprised she even has a kitchen in a place this small. Well, I'm sure it's small, but just as she has like a fridge, like a TV on her fridge, right? Because I doubt she has two fridges. Left with nothing else to do, I drift back to her tiny living space and slump down on the couch. Closing my eyes, I allow the noise from the television to guide my thoughts. The ones I've been keeping at bay, freeing them from the cage I've built around them, so I won't have to think. One by one, they trickle back into my consciousness, each more frightening and unnerving than the other. So many things going on. So many things happening. The papers we gotten from BRC doesn't provide any comfort either. Seriously, is there even a point to those after last night? What will asking those people do? If anything, this only proved there might be more copies than that dumb piece of paper. Of that dumb piece of paper. We only have one here, but how many exactly is there out there? More importantly, how do we get out of this stupid mess?
Ashton.
Damn it, I haven't felt this kind of bone-weary exhaustion in years.
I don't want to think what might happen next in case I miss something. Shit.
Rebecca. Zach. Isabella.
They're all depending on me and...
Ash!
The voice snaps me out of my thoughts, abruptly wiping away everything running a racket inside my head. Suddenly, Isabella's there, crouched in front of me when I cracked an eye open. I haven't even noticed the exact moment when I bent over and buried my head in my hands, figures why she's staring at me like I fainted or something. The crease on her eyebrows grow deeper at my lack of response. Although she's merely staring at me, without saying a word, her expression says everything. So much for trying not to alarm her with bad news.
Sorry, I just spaced out for a moment. Don't mind me.
For a brief moment, she seems to accept that. Quietly, she shifts, stands up, and takes the empty space right beside me. All done with a single comment. Then the next thing I know, she's gently pushing a bowl in my hands. This is... I don't eat this. I forgot what it's called. My grandmother eats it a lot. It's like chocolate. It's like a chocolate rice dish. Probably have some in the kitchen somewhere. Forgot what it's called. It starts with a C. I think I tried it once. It's good. I just don't want to eat it, you know. But it's like a breakfast thing. The scent reaches me first before I've gotten the chance to take in what she had just handed me. A faint, sweet smell of cocoa wafts from the dish. Calming, comforting. Despite the multitude of things bothering me, it certainly smells like the kind of food you'll eat on a rainy day. Though from the get-go, it doesn't look as appetizing. Yeah, it looks like mush, kind of. It is mainly like chocolate and rice. What is this even? Porridge? Why would you put chocolate in it and milk drizzled on top? She tells me my tastes are weird, yet here she is, handing me something equally as strange. In fact, she's already started digging in hers. I'm just not sure if the taste will be equally as appealing. Baffled, I glance her way. She offers no immediate answer, simply continues eating as if she hasn't done so in a week, with her focus solely on the television. She's not watching, however, just listening. As a background noise, the voices from it seem too cheerful, a welcome distraction, if anything. It's only after she finished off half the bowl does she acknowledge the question in my eyes. With a sigh, she cradles the dish on her lap and looks down at it. Briefly, her lips part, then closes. A hesitation, though I don't push her. There's a distant air on her, as if she remembered something that warrants a poignant thought. When she speaks at last, it's a tone too careful, like she's still weighing her words, considering the proper phrasing for it. Yes, sincerity underlies each syllable once they're out in the open.
You should eat. Back at home, Mama would never let us leave the house if we haven't eaten breakfast yet. Even Papa has got an earful when he tried. So eat. You'll need it.
Say the name. I forgot what it's called. She returns to her food afterwards, while I can only stare at the one she has. I'm gonna doodle it. It's low-key bugging me a bit. Filipino chocolate rice, I guess. Okay, there it is. Champorado, Filipino chocolate rice pudding. There you go. I knew it started with a C. She returns to her food afterwards, while I can only stare at the one she has proffed not a few minutes ago. Warm against my hands, tempting me to take a bite. Not that I don't appreciate this, but what good will this do? Zach and Rebecca's both out there. Who knows when that ghost will show up again? Even in our dreams, we're not safe. But that's it, isn't it? We don't know when, and at present, we have a chance at respite. Maybe the only one we'll have. Even if it's as mundane as sharing food between us quietly, just seating side by side. Seating? Just seating side by side like this without exchanging any words. The intent hangs unspoken in the air, something that probably goes as far back as the second she offered food. Still, in the end, Isabella never pushes it. Rather, she lets her own silence convey her hope. Whether I allow myself to take that break, she leaves it up to me. Eat the champorado, bro. It's probably good. They want to flex some Filipino desserts. Got a little plus there. Plus. The word rose off my tongue, awkward and unfamiliar, far removed from those jests and quips we've shared. Yet she accepts this with a smile and nothing more. Regardless of everything left unsaid, that sight of it brings comfort. More so than any generous offer of food can give. Though we both lapse into silence after we finish our food, there's ease in it, in this muffled sounds of Luxembourg filtering into the air. In the light streaming from her windows and the faint draft occasionally drifting in, catching the loose tendrils of her hair. In the way her voice falters when she tries to form words. And despite the horror looming over us, I find myself wishing for the minutes to slow, for the seconds to last. But ultimately, she's the one who breaks it, softly, after a minute's pause, in words mumbled under her breath. Sometimes silence simply compels us to speak.
I've been wondering, before last night, before Mama told me the news, what if Papa passes away, despite everything? That sort of thing. I know it's not good to think about, but I also knew it was getting worse. Mama won't say anything, but I've always known that one day, he'll eventually...
She releases a sigh as the grip on the bowl she still holds tightens. There are no tears, but she might as well have them with how weak her voice falls. Are there even any left?
I don't know what I'm going to do. Before, I can easily say it's because of Papa. Now, I don't have anything.
You have that scholarship from LuxU.
Were you going through my personal papers while I was sleeping last night?
Yes.
I don't really have to. You left it sitting in the open, right there on the table.
Like there's still anything to hide, she snatches it away from where I've placed it back earlier. Except there's no anger or annoyance in her face when she looks at it, and rereads every line with a pensive expression. After a short while, she folds it neatly across the creases and sets it back.
I don't even know if this will work out.
Well, if it doesn't, what about that exhibit you've been planning with Zach?
Do I even have to ask where you got that?
Zach sucks at lying. You have no idea how easy he is to read.
Sounds
It
fun.
was all in his face when I asked about it. And anyway, if that doesn't pan out too.
I trail off, hesitating, measuring the weight of my next words. Genuine as there are, a part of me believes they're a burden, too heavy to impose upon her. Because no matter how much I want her to stay, we are not what ties her here. It'll be selfish to ask that of her. More than anything, her family will always come first. I say it nevertheless, if only to let her know that no matter what her choice will be, there will be people here whose lives her mere presence has changed. Mine most of all.
You have us.
The words startle her to a pause, and slowly she turns to me, her eyes wide, disbelief all over her face. But before regret forces an apology up my throat, her expression dissolves into something I can't quite place. New journal. First journal of the Epi. Wait, where are we? 31st? Oh, what? What got updated? I thought a new journal just dropped. Unless I missed it. Oh, it's here. After leaving their friend's urgent message, Ashton returned to Isabella's apartment. He found the door already up and about, cooking. Seeing his exhaustion, Isabella reminded him that he should take care of himself and offered him food. With a muttered thanks, he accepted. Okay. But before I regret, yeah, I said that. Something distinctively softer, more tender, familiar, almost in the same manner she glanced at me years ago, that day at the bridge. However, I don't get the chance to figure out what it all means for her. All of a sudden, a not break. Oh, I thought it said relationship status. But maybe that was just story change because Zat's here. All of a sudden, a sudden knot breaks the moment just as fast. Both of our attention shifts towards the source. But before things can get awkward fast, I stand up to open the door while muttering some flimsy excuse in the process.
I'll get that. It's probably Zach or Rebecca.
Really, I know we're in a pinch, but their timing can't get any worse. Unrelated frustrations aside, once I fling the door open, a whole chunk of that stone that had been stuck at the pit of my stomach simultaneously unseats itself. There in the hallway stands Zach, his hand raised ready for another knock. What's up, Z-Man? Although he's not at his most presentable at the moment, ruffled and drenched with sweat as he is, relief quickly washes over me like a tide. He's still panting when he pushes me aside and heads in. The second his feet crosses the threshold, he stands in place, eyeing what little he can see of the room from the doorway. When he finds none of what he's looking for, he turns to me with a questioning look, one that has a hint of panic in it.
You said it was urgent. Did anything happen? Is it Becca? Bella?
Everyone's fine. Well, Becca's not here. She went somewhere this morning and hasn't answered any of my calls yet. But Isabella's...
I'm here, Zach. Morning.
His weight shifts at the same time, the stiff line in his shoulders eases, once Isabella walks up to us and welcomes him with a smile. He relaxes then, returning her greeting in kind as soon as he has let out the breath he has been holding and the tension finally off of his body.
So, nothing's wrong? Why'd you call me here for then?
My explanation can wait. He has a lot of explaining to do. The fact that he went to Anselm alone for some godforsaken reason warrants a proper one. Ghost or not, he's already been given a warning. It frustrates me to no end this might be the plan he mentioned the last time we spoke. I get that he's worried about Hannah, right? Somehow they've become friends, but that's not the issue here. Not when there's a murderous ghost who might go after one of us at any given time. Sure, Zat's made it here in one piece by some dumb luck. He's alright, and this one takes off the list of people I need to worry about. Frankly, as annoyed as I am, I just can't stay angry at him when I look at the situation that way. Hell, if that call didn't connect in the exact minute, there might have been a chance he won't be standing here. This is a blessing in itself. Low-key, actually true. Though, first things comes first, and there's some things that need to be discussed. I don't know. What's better? Maybe this. Yeah, let's not be mean. Even though, let's take the conversation nice, you know? Try to be nice. Except when I open my mouth, the only thing that spills out from it is my own relief. Despite the irrational part of my brain screaming everything wrong about Zat's neat little plan. We've had so many close calls within just a single night. Zat showing up in Isabella's doorstep alive, whole and unharmed. I might as well take some comfort in that while I still can.
You're okay.
You did tell me not to do anything stupid.
Suddenly the whole room feels too heavy, and all I am able to do is drop down on the couch. A headache also threatens to burst in the same moment, or perhaps this is what the release from anxiety feels like? Regardless, I read up I reach up a hand to pinch the bridge of my nose, even if it'll likely do nothing to alleviate the impending pain.
Christ, you were right there. We have this stupid curse thing going on, and you were right there. You just walked up inside a private property. Those people can easily sue you for breaking and entering, and that's the least of it.
I know, Ash. But I can't just leave things as they are. I've got to do something. I know you're not very fond of the Wrights, but they don't deserve it if something bad happens.
True.
Hana most of all.
Hey. I mean, that's probably true, but give my boy Luke some sympathy.
God damn it, Zach, I was worried.
Unexpectedly, he laughs, not the half-hearted sort he makes when he's awkward or coming up with an excuse. A genuine one. Before my annoyance grows again, and I snap at him, though he suddenly catches me in a headlock. His arms looping around my neck while he grinds his knuckles against my skull. Helpless, I squirm under his grip in protest. Even then, it's hard to do so when you're up against a 6-footer.
Zach!
Aw, he's worried. Why didn't you say so? That cool act ain't gonna fool me anymore.
Let go.
Oh my god. He relents soon enough, though only after he's done ample damage in my hair. I hate it when he does that. But for a few moments there, the tense mood finally lightens up, and everything felt like how it used to be before this whole mess began. Makes appreciating little moments like this easier. Still, though.
Seriously, Zach. Why are you even there?
Told you already. I was looking for you.
Why would I even go there?
Well, you mentioned a plan with Isabella here. I assume that's where you guys went, since that's where she found the letter.
It's not a bad assumption, to be honest. That's what I actually initially thought when they told him that, to be fair.
Sorry. I was really at a dead end.
The logic in it stuns me into silence, to say the least. What do you mean? It's logical, bro. Kinda. Then I remember his hesitance, the tone he has taken before agreeing to go here, and all at once my anger from what he's done wanes. Partly, this is my fault for keeping things vague. I can't berate him for assuming that when I've only left him with vague answers. True. There he is. Look at that. Zachary arrived at Solomon tired and frazzled. Upon learning that he had come from the Ermagerd mansion, Ashton could only express his relief that he was safe. An amused Zachary teased him for worrying, much to that other man's embarrassment.
You could have called me.
I did.
I didn't receive any, and my phone was with me.
He was getting cock-blocked by Kyoko. She's blocking the phone signals.
You're kidding, right? I was at it the whole night.
The whole atmosphere in the room changes in 2 heartbeats. Back again to the tension-riddled one plaguing us. Zachary stares at me like I've grown another head, then gradually he shifts his attention to Isabella. The expression in his eyes, questioning, asking for a confirmation, like my word can't be trusted, not that I'm holding it against him. I can't even believe the things coming out of my mouth in the past few hours. Meanwhile, Isabella stays quiet, has been like that for quite some time. She looks like she wants to disappear right now. Guilt, frustration, anger, fear, all of flashes fleeting across her face before it melts away under an expression of worry.
Please tell me he's joking. You were there?
No, we really didn't get any. Everything was quiet last night. But Zach, at BRC, Ashton and I saw...
She never gets to finish that. No, not again. Please. Alright. we won't listen to it too long. Abruptly, my phone rings again, blaring its badly stained ringtone throughout the whole room. Both of them pauses, waiting when I pull out to check the caller ID.
It's Becca. I'll tell her to get here as soon as she can. Excuse me.
Without another word, I step out of the room and answer the call, however, the tone she assumes isn't what I'm hoping to hear. Braided, a bit out of breath. There's a tinge of urgency in it. Listening from my side of the line makes it seem like she's just run a marathon prior to this call.
Becca, where?
I got your message. What happened?
Nothing. Yet? Where are you?
Downtown. I had to make a quick visit to the library. Listen, Ash, about that thing Isabella has been talking about. There's something you guys need to...
Please tell me you didn't... Whatever. Save it for later. I'm at Salemwell. If you can get here as soon as possible, that'd be really great. This is related to that.
You're there? Is Isabella with you?
Yeah, Zach too.
With a quick press of the button, I switch on the loudspeakers and step back into Isabella's apartment. I hold out the phone towards the two, giving it 2 shakes, urging them to speak. Both are still carrying weird looks on their faces. This should ease that.
Rebecca's asking for you two.
Becca? Is she okay? Hey, Becca.
Hello, Rebecca. Odd morning we having,
Eh?
eh?
Hey, you two. What's happening over there? Is this something I should be worried about?
We'll tell you once you get here. Please hurry.
I don't like the sound of that, Ash. But I'm on my way. Give me a few minutes. I'm driving.
She mumbles a goodbye, then hangs up. Beth is the last person I need to account for, yet that call left an even more strained tension in the room. Thankfully, we don't have to linger in it for too long. She only takes a matter of minutes to get here, and the second she steps into the room, Isabella clings to her.
I'm so glad you're okay.
Safe and
Ash didn't
sound.
check on me this morning, but he did? I'm sorry. I was in a hurry. I didn't have time to drop by and let you know.
It doesn't matter. What's important is you're here.
Not burnt to a crisp or brutally murdered somewhere. Whole, alive. Luckily, I wonder what the response would be if I let her fall off the building. Although she seems a bit shaken, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. At least now, I can relax, ease the pressure off my shoulders, if only by some. But the minute Isabella pulls away from her, she winces. A small reaction. The younger woman doesn't even catch it. It sets a precedent for a careful observation nevertheless. A closer look at her reveals a much more disheveled than usual. Hair in a bit of a mess, probably flattened in a hurry. The back of her dress also shows stains of dirt in places it rarely gets into. She's also leaning more using her left arm. She's right-handed. Perhaps the most telling is the slight limp she has, noticeably once Isabella leads her into the room. It all sprouts a hatful of questions. What exactly happened and how did she end up in that state? Pretty sure a simple trip to the library won't do that. I grab her arm before she can walk past, carefully to avoid hurting her in case it really is an injury. Seems like it at first glance, but you can't be sure until after a careful examination has been made. I suspect some bruising at least. Although minor internal fractions aren't out of the question. They have a nasty way of staying hidden. Sure enough, Becca tenses immediately upon contact. Tries to pull back, although the sudden gesture only elicits another wince, forcing her and Isabella to a halt. Both of them turn to me almost at the same time, their eyes searching mine for answers. Rebecca, for her part, doesn't appear quite pleased with the interruption, or the fact someone has brought it to light. But that someone also has to make sure. Which one's better? Our Rebecca relation isn't great. Let's do this then.
You okay? You're limping.
I think that's good. Yeah, don't question her and her strats. Just check the condition. As expected, she tries to hide it. This time when she scrims from my grasp, it's with enough force she almost stumbles back if Zach hadn't caught her by her elbow. Even with 2 more people shooting her concerned looks, she's swift to shrug it off.
It's fine. I just had a little accident.
Little accident. Hard to believe when her other arm's nursing this supposedly fine arm. Isabella doesn't buy any of it either.
In a
It didn't happen.
Well, yeah, it kinda caught me off guard.
Something's happened there, hasn't it?
I don't have to elaborate on the question further. Shortly, she still goes. She goes very still, and the hand placed over her right arm shifts ever so slightly, its grip on the limb tightening. Not too firm to hurt, but just enough for a gesture of comfort for herself. Warily, she casts a glance on everyone in the room, but only the one she spares for Isabella lingers longer, and in that moment something unspoken passes between them. An understanding. It strikes me seconds later how utterly familiar her expression is. It's the same one I've seen far too many times in Isabella. Since that day at the movie house, every time her attempts to warn us have been so rudely dismissed.
Let me see.
Can we? We have to check if it's bad.
Rebecca hesitates for a moment. Then, after a minute of consideration, she sighs and reaches for the hem of her sleeve, raises it just enough for Isabella to take a good look at it. Not swollen, but a large portion of her skin starting to turn an oddly shade of purple.
Oh, that is gonna be one hell of a nasty bruise.
Tell me about it. It was a library cart that...
Oh yeah, I
You
remember
know,
that
the
now.
old metal ones they keep near the history section.
Just trying to remember what happened.
Ouch! Like I said, nasty.
But she's there? She went after you. Yeah, I was in the archives, looking something up. Suddenly, she was just there. Well, she was using my own students against me. What kind of terrible person does that?
I mean, I love you, Rebecca, but she's literally a spooky ghost lady trying to kill people. Is that... You're really questioning what type of person she is?
Oh, it makes my blood boil.
You should have just ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
Nice reference.
Laugh it up, Ashton. I did. Then the bloody cart came out of nowhere. And you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, I would be dead by now.
New journal. Love to see it. It's the latest one, right? Yeah, there we go. To Ashton and Isabella's relief, Rebecca later called back. Soon she showed up at Salamo looking worse for wear. When the detective asked about it, worried all Redhead could give was a frustrated answer. Fortunately, the topper turned grim. Isabella stepped in. Silence descends in the room as the gravity of that one word hits all of us. Dead. Another close call. Another would have. Another one we've nearly avoided. How long can we keep this up? We're bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of all of this, is what cuts through the thick air.
I'll go get a cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first. Ashton and I, we have a lot of things to talk about.
You all have a lot of things to talk about. Besides Zach, I don't know if he actually has anything new. That marks the end of it. At least for the time being. And as soon as Isabella returns and hands Rebecca the cold compress, she promised we'd get straight down to business. Surprisingly easily, considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for the words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what happened last night at BRC has been put on the table. All at once, everything we've brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed have been laid out for close scrutiny. Zach's encounter with the woman and his dreams, Rebecca's close brush with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us. Everything. Because no matter how bleak this whole seems, there still must be a way out of this. There has to be. Logic be damned. Or at least that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Time skip. Yet, even as the cold morning light shifts to the warm hues of the late afternoon, and eventually night, none of this still makes a fucking damn sense. Damn, that was a quick day then. From morning to night. Darkness has fallen, but we still got nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we're more at a loss than we've ever been before we even started this. Next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head, and the sheets of paper I've been holding smacks the table harder than I intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room, and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it. There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
If only I killed Rebecca, then we would have had a memory fragment. No, I'm joking. Oh, man. It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I've been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, I guess.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked them out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
True. Look at that face.
Very funny, Z-Man. Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before
Good
the open
banter,
house.
good banter.
No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we're going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this fucking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Shouldn't we look into the mansion too? That's where the letter came from.
True.
That's where she came from. Maybe it's just as the professor says.
He did tell me there might be more to this.
Bro, we all taught to Professor Andrew the good route. I wonder what happens if you taught to the priest. Will you get options to talk to the priest again? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Yeah, that was a weird fake history.
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Her eyes narrowing with each line it passes, but lingers at the illustration of the noblewoman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
True.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Also true. It's freaking Johannes, dude. Why else would these tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems like a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. But this might as well mean that what happened in the mansion years ago also equates into all of this. And the letter Isabella found? It's at the heart of it. The why and the how is what we're missing here. If I'm going to go by what Andrew told Zach, the connections between the letter and the mansion's curse may run deeper than what we've initially thought. We won't be able to figure this out without looking into the other. Fuck! How do I? The mansion's private property now. I can't just waltz in there. I mean, we have Zach, who's kind of friends with Hannah. We have Rebecca, who's kind of friends with Luke, and kind of friends with Hannah. We have some ways in, I think. I'd rather die than before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's very clear after these 2 last days, however. We're not safe anywhere, and I have to act fast if I want to keep my own friends alive. We can't just keep running away. Sooner or later, she'll get us. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back after several hours of sitting. We've been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything sink in, or else we'll all be burned out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they're all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in their eyes as they look at me, up at me waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few.
Oh no. The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh booming noise rending through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once, the three of them are on their feet while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the four of us exchange anxious glances. So much for a break.
Ashton, that might be.
Gather everything.
No questions asked. They waste no time getting to work, piling up the documents we've been reading through. Even Isabel is unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows it. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly, the lights go out and the wardrobes at the end of the room rattles, as if something's inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and release the lock from my gun. I'm no trigger-happy person. I'm not even sure this will work on a ghost. But right now, its smooth surface up against my palm, with the trigger on my finger, provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
Peeky peeky! Balls of steel.
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Nah, gotta do it. Worried as they all are, they immediately stop at the slightest raise of my hand. But the edge is there, while they are all huddled in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. In 2 deep breaths, I cross the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door, louder and louder, the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. A glance at my companions. A nod. Something creaks. Then in the next moment, I'm grasping for the handles and swinging the door wide open to reveal nothing. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it, still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards my companions only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has fully stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up in my head. Strung up that my head's now making things up. I mean, everyone was reacting, so obviously it's not in your head. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here, as soon as possible. This only confirms we aren't safe anywhere. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now through every vein in my body. In the next seconds, I'm barking orders, and...
We should go. Everyone, we need to...
I should have closed the door. I'm sent sprawling on my back as if something cold touches my ankles and yanks. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine, and the back of my head collides against the floor, with a force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, and then I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of vile rot assaulting my nose, nauseating, sickening, a foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, still as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears, my eyes snap open. Hello, beautiful. Looking good as always. Perhaps it's just inexperience. Or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. In the manner her gaze bores on me, I'll say, the look of utter hatred and malice I've seen loads of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who never regretted their actions despite being caught, this is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know, the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Ashton, snap out of it!
No, I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind, and my instincts kick in then and there.
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my foot out of her grip and scramble to my feet, ignoring the piercing wails she fills the room with. Within the span of seconds, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person my hand can reach and leading everyone out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them, and in a short while I'm driving out of Solemnwell. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. Journal. Fun journal. Never turn your back on a spooky place. With the help of his friends, Ashton try to find a way to free themselves of the curse, piecing together what they currently know. But before they could figure it out, a ruckus coming from Isabella's closet broke the silence of the room. Halloween! It's gonna be a good day. But for now, I think I'm gonna end the episode. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. And next time, we have the crew together. We haven't figured it out yet, but we're starting to piece things together. I think the next step is definitely getting a deeper look into the mansion, so we'll have to do that. But until then, that's all I got. See you next time. Bye!